Imagine a land where the sky meets endless plains, where rivers carve paths older than time, and waterfalls plunge from heights so great they seem to touch the clouds. A country where mountains, forests, wetlands, and islands each tell their own story, yet together form a living, breathing masterpiece. Welcome to Venezuela, a place of extremes, contrasts, and untamed beauty. From the towering Andes to the flowing Orinoco, from the lush Amazon to the sparkling Caribbean islands, every corner reveals a secret, every horizon invites discovery. Prepare to embark on a journey that will awaken your senses, challenge your imagination, and leave you in awe of one of the most extraordinary countries on Earth. Imagine standing at the edge of a world where nature still rules without compromise. A land where waterfalls fall from the sky, where jungles breathe with ancient life, where mountains rise like monuments carved by time itself. This is Venezuela, a country of raw beauty, powerful contrasts, and landscapes so dramatic they feel almost unreal. From the tallest waterfall on Earth to endless savannas, from Caribbean islands to mist-covered peaks, Venezuela is not just a destination, it is an experience that awakens awe at every turn. Venezuela sits quietly in the northern edge of South America, yet its geography tells a story louder than words. It is a land shaped by extremes. Here, nature does not whisper, it speaks boldly. Dense rainforests stretch beyond the horizon, rivers carve their way through untamed wilderness, and ancient rock formations stand as silent witnesses to millions of years of history. Every region feels like a different world, stitched together by powerful natural forces and a deep sense of place. The journey begins with scale. Venezuela is vast, and its landscapes feel endless. In the south, ancient plateaus rise abruptly from the earth, creating scenes that feel untouched by time. In the north, warm Caribbean waters meet white sand beaches and coral reefs glowing beneath the surface. Between them lies a country alive with movement clouds rolling over mountains, rivers winding through forests, and wildlife thriving in ecosystems that remain among the most diverse on the planet. This is a country where nature defines life. Rivers are not just water. They are roads, lifelines, and sources of survival. Forests are not simply scenery. They are living systems filled with sound, motion, and mystery. The air itself feels different, heavy, with humidity in the lowlands, crisp and cool in the mountains, salty along the coast. Venezuela does not offer a single mood or rhythm. It shifts constantly, keeping those who explore it in a state of wonder. Yet, Venezuela's beauty is not limited to its landscapes alone. Its spirit lives in its people, shaped by the land around them. Communities have adapted to mountains, rivers, and forests for generations, carrying traditions deeply connected to nature. Music, color, and movement are woven into daily life, reflecting resilience, warmth, and identity. Even in the most remote regions, there is a sense of belonging to the land, to history, and to each other. What makes Venezuela truly remarkable is the feeling of authenticity. Many of its greatest wonders remain wild and unfiltered. There are places here where roads disappear, where silence dominates, where modern life feels distant. Standing in these environments, one realizes how rare such places have become. Venezuela offers something increasingly scarce in the modern world: the feeling of discovery. This country challenges expectations. It surprises at every turn. One moment, you are surrounded by towering cliffs and roaring water. The next, by quiet lagoons reflecting the sky. Sunrises paint the savannas in gold, while sunsets melt into rivers that glow with reflected fire. Wildlife appears not as a spectacle, but as part of the landscape, moving freely, naturally, without performance. Venezuela is also a land of stories written into stone and water. Its mountains are ancient, older than the Andes themselves. Its rivers have shaped civilizations and ecosystems alike. Its coastlines have welcomed explorers, traders, and cultures from across the world. Each place carries memory, depth, and meaning far beyond what the eye first sees. This journey through Venezuela is not about ticking off destinations. It is about feeling scale, power, and connection. It is about understanding how nature can still dominate, still inspire, humility still leave us speechless. As we begin this exploration, let go of expectations and allow the land to speak for itself, because Venezuela is not meant to be rushed. It is meant to be felt. And this is only the beginning. Before the sun rises, the air of southern Venezuela carries a stillness that feels almost sacred. Mist drifts slowly across vast open spaces, and towering walls of stone begin to emerge from the darkness. These are the Tepuis, ancient tabletop mountains that rise sharply from the jungle floor, isolated and immense. They are among the oldest geological formations on Earth, and at their heart lies one of nature's most astonishing creations: Angel Falls. Angel Falls does not simply fall, it descends from the sky. Water spills from the edge of Tepuis and plunges endlessly into the void below, disappearing into mist before ever touching the ground. At nearly a kilometer high, it is the tallest uninterrupted waterfall on the planet. Standing in its presence, scale loses meaning. The sound is distant yet powerful, like a constant breath of the earth itself. The fall seems less like water and more like a living force, shaping air, stone, and silence. Canaima National Park, where Angel Falls is found, feels less like a park and more like another world. Its landscapes stretch across millions of hectares, dominated by these massive flat-topped mountains whose vertical cliffs isolate ecosystems that evolved entirely on their own. Each Tepuis is a natural island in the sky, home to plant and animal species found nowhere else on Earth. The ground below is a mosaic of rivers, savannas, and dense jungle, stitched together by water and time. Reaching Angel Falls is a journey in itself. Rivers become the only pathways, winding through thick rainforest, where the canopy blocks much of the sky. Boats move slowly across dark waters, passing silent walls of green and the occasional burst of color from tropical birds. There are no roads, no shortcuts. Every kilometer traveled reinforces the feeling of entering a place governed entirely by nature. As the waterfall comes into view, it appears almost unreal. From a distance, it looks like a thin white ribbon suspended in midair. Wind catches the falling water, turning much of it into mist long before it reaches the base. Rainbows form and vanish within seconds, shifting with the light. The experience is less about watching and more about absorbing. The falls command attention without demanding it. The Tepuis themselves carry a sense of mystery. Their sheer cliffs are nearly impossible to climb, and their flat summits remain some of the least explored places on Earth. Clouds often cling to their tops, hiding what lies above. These mountains inspired myths long before modern exploration, seen by indigenous communities as sacred places connected to spirits and ancient forces. Even today, they retain an aura of isolation and reverence. Life within Canaima adapts to extremes. Rivers flow over pink and red sandstone, tinted by minerals and time. Forests grow in thin soils, shaped by wind and rain. Every organism here has learned to survive in conditions unlike anywhere else on the planet. This is evolution on display, patient and precise, unfolding over millions of years. Angel Falls is not just a visual wonder, it is an emotional one. It reminds us of the Earth's scale and our small place within it. There is no way to fully capture its presence through images alone. The falls must be felt: the moisture on your skin, the distant roar, the shifting mist. It is a moment that humbles and elevates at the same time. Canaima National Park represents Venezuela at its most powerful and pure, untamed, immense, and timeless. It stands as a reminder that some places remain beyond human control, and perhaps always should. In the shadow of Angel Falls and the ancient Tepuis, time slows, and the world feels vast again. Venezuela is written in stone and water, shaped by forces older than memory. And as the mist settles and the river continues its quiet journey, one thing becomes clear. This is not just a place to visit, it is a place to witness. As the land stretches south and east beyond the shadow of the Tepuis, the world begins to open into a vast expanse of space and sky. This is the Gran Sabana, a region where the horizon feels endless and the earth glows in shades of red, gold, and green. Here, Venezuela reveals a different kind of power, not vertical and overwhelming, but wide, quiet, and deeply spiritual. The Gran Sabana is a place that invites reflection, where the land itself seems to breathe slowly beneath an immense sky. Rolling savannas extend for hundreds of kilometers, broken only by distant mountains and winding rivers. During the day, sunlight sweeps across the grasslands, creating waves of color that shift with the wind. At night, the sky opens completely, revealing stars untouched by city lights. Silence dominates, interrupted only by the rustle of grass or the distant call of birds. In this openness, every sound feels important, every movement meaningful. The Tepuis rise again here, but differently. They appear as dark silhouettes on the horizon, massive yet distant, like guardians watching over the plains. These ancient formations are older than the Andes, older than the Amazon itself. Their flat summits hold ecosystems frozen in time, while their bases feed rivers that nourish life across the savanna. Clouds drift lazily around their peaks, sometimes hiding them entirely, as if the mountains choose when to be seen. Water defines the grand savanna as much as land. Rivers slide gently across the plains, often shallow and crystal clear, revealing smooth stones and golden sand beneath. Waterfalls emerge unexpectedly, spilling over ledges into natural pools. These falls are not as towering as Angel Falls, but they feel intimate places of rest, reflection, and quiet beauty. The sound of flowing water carries far in the open air, becoming a constant companion. The Grand Sabana is home to indigenous communities whose lives are inseparable from the land. Their knowledge of seasons, rivers, and mountains has been passed down through generations. Here, culture is not confined to buildings or monuments. It lives in movement, storytelling, and daily rituals. The land is respected not as a resource to be taken, but as a presence to be understood. This relationship creates a harmony that feels increasingly rare in the modern world. Walking through the savanna, one becomes aware of time moving differently. There is no urgency here, no pressure to move faster than the sun. Days unfold slowly, marked by changing light and drifting clouds. The red soil stains shoes and hands, a quiet reminder of where you've been. The air feels lighter, the mind clearer, as if the landscape itself encourages stillness. Wildlife appears subtly. Birds glide across the open sky, their calls echoing over long distances. Insects hum softly in the grass. Life here does not announce itself loudly. It blends into the environment, perfectly adapted to openness and exposure. Every creature plays a role, no matter how small, in maintaining the balance of this delicate ecosystem. What makes the Grand Sabana unforgettable is its emotional impact. It does not overwhelm through scale alone, it reaches deeper. The combination of vast space, ancient mountains, and enduring traditions creates a feeling of connection that is hard to define. It is a place that strips away distraction and invites presence. Standing here, one feels grounded, humbled, and quietly inspired. The Grand Sabana reminds us that wonder does not always arrive with noise or drama. Sometimes it arrives in silence, in open horizons, in the simple meeting of earth and sky. It is a chapter of Venezuela written in light, wind, and patience. And as the savanna stretches endlessly ahead, it becomes clear that this land is not just seen, it is felt deeply and forever. The deeper you move into southern Venezuela, the landscape begins to close in around you. Open skies narrow, light filters through thick layers of green, and the air grows heavy with moisture and sound. This is the Venezuelan Amazon, a world where life exists in its most concentrated form. Every step forward feels like entering a living organism, one that breathes, listens, and responds. Here, nature is not a backdrop. It is present, constant, and powerful. The rainforest stretches endlessly, dense and complex, layered from forest floor to towering canopy. Sunlight reaches the ground only in fragments, creating shifting patterns that move with the leaves above. The air hums with insects, birds, and unseen creatures, forming a soundscape that never truly stops. Even in moments of stillness, the forest is alive, communicating through rustling branches, distant calls, and subtle vibrations. Rivers are the true arteries of the Amazon. They wind through the forest like liquid pathways, carrying nutrients, wildlife, and people alike. In many areas, water is the only way forward. Canoes glide silently across dark surfaces that reflect the jungle like a mirror. Along the banks, roots twist and stretch into the water, anchoring massive trees that have stood for centuries. These rivers change with the seasons, expanding and retreating, reshaping the land again and again. Life in the Venezuelan Amazon exists in remarkable balance. Plants grow with purpose, some climbing toward light, others spreading wide to capture it. Medicinal species thrive alongside towering giants, many still unknown to science. Wildlife moves carefully through this dense environment. Monkeys leap between branches high above, Colorful birds flash briefly through the canopy, and unseen animals leave only subtle signs of their presence. Survival here depends on awareness, adaptation, and respect for the environment. Indigenous communities have lived in this rainforest for generations, developing a deep understanding of its rhythms. Their lives follow the cycles of rain, river, and forest. Knowledge is passed through stories, observation, and experience, not written records. Every plant, sound, and seasonal change carries meaning. The forest provides food, shelter, and medicine, but only when treated with care. This relationship is not based on control, but coexistence. Time behaves differently in the Amazon. Days feel long yet unhurried, guided by natural light rather than clocks. Rien arrive, suddenly, drenching everything in minutes before disappearing just as quickly. Mist rises from the forest floor in the early morning, blurring the line between land and sky. In these moments, the rainforest feels timeless, unchanged by the outside world. The emotional weight of the Amazon is undeniable. It can feel overwhelming, even humbling, to be surrounded by such density of life. There is comfort here, but also respect. The forest demands attention. Every sound could signal movement. Every shadow could hide life. This awareness sharpens the senses and quiets the mind, pulling focus away from distraction and toward presence. Despite its richness, the Amazon remains fragile. Its complexity depends on balance, and even small disruptions can ripple outward. Standing within this environment, one understands how interconnected everything truly is. Water, soil, plants, animals, and people are bound together in a system that has evolved over millions of years. The Venezuelan Amazon is not meant to be conquered or rushed through. It is meant to be listened to. It teaches patience, humility, and respect. In its depths, the world feels older, wiser, and intensely alive. This chapter of Venezuela is written not in stone or sky, but in leaves, water, and breath. And once experienced, it leaves an imprint that never fully fades. As the dense forests and distant mountains give way to open horizons, Venezuela reveals a softer side of its power along the Caribbean Sea. Here, the land loosens its grip and lets the ocean take the lead. The air grows lighter, warmer, and filled with salt. Waves move with steady rhythm, and time seems to slow beneath the sun. This is Venezuela's Caribbean coast, a place where color, calm, and clarity come together in perfect balance. Stretching along the northern edge of the country, the coastline shifts constantly in shape and mood. Rugged cliffs drop into deep blue water, while quiet beaches curve gently along sheltered bays. Palm trees lean toward the sea, shaped by wind and years of salt air. The sound of waves replaces the dense hum of the rainforest, creating a sense of openness and release. Here, nature feels expansive rather than enclosing. Off the coast lies Los Roques, an archipelago of small islands scattered across brilliant turquoise water. From above, it looks like a painting, shallow lagoons glowing in shades of blue and green, framed by thin lines of white sand. Coral reefs sit just beneath the surface, alive with movement and color. The clarity of the water is striking, allowing sunlight to reach deep below, illuminating a world that feels both peaceful and vibrant. Life in these waters moves gently. Fish glide through coral gardens, seabirds trace arcs across the sky, and tides rise and fall with quiet certainty. There is no rush here. The rhythm of the ocean sets the pace, inviting stillness and attention. Even the breeze feels deliberate, carrying the scent of salt and distant land. On shore, coastal communities reflect the environment around them. Days are shaped by light, tides, and weather, rather than strict schedules. Boats rest along the water's edge, waiting for the next journey. Colors appear everywhere: painted homes, fishing nets, clothing, and boats echoing the vibrancy of the sea itself. Culture flows naturally here, relaxed yet deeply rooted in tradition. The Caribbean coast offers contrast. Where the interior of Venezuela feels ancient and powerful, the coast feels open and renewing. Sunrises spill gold across calm waters, while sunsets burn orange and pink as the sky dissolves into the sea. Nights arrive softly, accompanied by the sound of waves and wind. Even in darkness, the ocean remains present, breathing steadily just beyond the shore. The connection between land and sea is constant. Mangroves line shallow waters, protecting coastlines and nurturing life. They act as natural bridges between ecosystems, sheltering fish and birds while anchoring the land against erosion. These quiet forests are as vital as the coral reefs and beaches, working together to sustain the coastal balance. Emotionally, the Caribbean side of Venezuela brings a sense of ease. It invites reflection without heaviness, wonder without overwhelm. Standing at the edge of the water, the horizon feels infinite, and worries seem to dissolve with each wave. It is a reminder that nature does not always need to be dramatic to be powerful. Sometimes, its strength lies in calm and consistency. This chapter of Venezuela is written in water and light. It is a place where clarity replaces complexity, where movement soothes rather than demands attention. The Caribbean coasts and islands offer a pause in the journey, a moment to breathe, to listen, and to simply be present. And as the tide continues its endless cycle, one truth becomes clear. This serenity is just as essential to Venezuela's story as its wildest landscapes. Leaving the warmth of the Caribbean behind, the land begins to rise once more. Roads twist upward, the air cools, and clouds drift closer to the earth. This is the Venezuelan Andes, a region defined by height, silence, and a slower rhythm of life. Here, mountains dominate the horizon, their slopes layered with forests, valleys, and ancient villages. The transition feels dramatic, as if the country itself is guiding you upward into another state of being. The Andes in Venezuela are not as vast as their southern counterparts, but they carry a distinct character. Peaks rise sharply, cutting into the sky, while deep valleys cradle rivers and farmland below. Morning light spills across ridgelines, revealing shades of green and gold that shift throughout the day. At higher elevations, mist moves freely, wrapping villages and hillsides in soft, fleeting veils. Life in the mountains follows the land. Agriculture clings to steep slopes, shaped by generations of adaptation. Fields are carved carefully into the terrain, creating patterns that reflect patience and resilience. Small towns appear unexpectedly, their colorful buildings standing out against the surrounding green. These settlements feel grounded, shaped by weather, altitude, and tradition rather than speed. The air here carries a quiet clarity. Sounds travel differently. In the mountains, voices echo softly, footsteps feel deliberate, and wind becomes a constant companion. At dawn, bells and distant activity signal the start of the day, while evenings settle into stillness far earlier than in the lowlands. Time seems to stretch, encouraging presence and reflection. Nature reveals itself in subtle ways. Forests shift with elevation, transitioning from dense greenery to sparse vegetation as the land rises. Birds adapt to thinner air, gliding effortlessly across valleys. Wildflowers appear along trails and roadsides, adding bursts of color to the muted tones of rock and soil. Every element feels finely tuned to its environment. The Venezuelan Andes also carry deep cultural roots. Traditions here are shaped by isolation and endurance. Music, food, and daily rituals reflect a connection to land and season. There is a sense of continuity where past and present coexist without conflict. Life moves forward, but without forgetting where it began. One of the most striking aspects of the Andes is perspective. From high viewpoints, valleys stretch endlessly below. Rivers appear as thin lines, and villages become small clusters of color. Standing at these heights, the scale of the world shifts. Concerns feel smaller, thoughts clearer. The mountains create space, not just around you, but within you. Weather changes quickly in the Andes. Sun can give way to fog in minutes, and rain can arrive without warning. These shifts remind visitors that control is an illusion here. The mountains set the terms. Adapting becomes second nature, reinforcing respect for the environment. The emotional experience of the Andes is quiet but profound. There is no overwhelming spectacle, no dramatic roar. Instead, the power lies in stillness, in the steady presence of stone and sky. The mountains do not demand attention, they offer it, patiently. This chapter of Venezuela is written in elevation and endurance. It speaks of balance, resilience, and perspective. In the Venezuelan Andes, nature does not rush, and neither should those who explore it. As clouds drift across peaks and valleys sink into shadow, the mountains stand unchanged, reminding us that some truths are best learned slowly. As the mountains slowly descend and the land opens outward again, Venezuela reveals one of its most unexpected landscapes. Vast plains stretch in every direction, meeting the sky with almost no interruption. This is Los Llanos, a region defined by space, movement, and life in its rawest form. Here, the horizon feels endless, and the land seems to pulse with a quiet, untamed energy. Los Llanos is shaped by water and season. During the rainy months, rivers overflow and flood the plains, transforming the region into a massive wetland. Grasslands disappear beneath shallow water, and the landscape becomes a mirror reflecting sky and clouds. In the dry season, the water retreats, revealing fertile soil and open fields. This constant transformation creates one of the richest ecosystems in the country. Wildlife thrives here in remarkable abundance. Capybaras gather along riverbanks, resting in groups under the sun. Caimans slide silently through shallow waters, their eyes just above the surface. Birds dominate the skies. Herons, storks, and countless other species move in synchronized patterns, filling the air with sound and motion. Life in Los Llanos is visible, active, and unapologetically present. Unlike the hidden creatures of the rainforest, animals here do not need to disappear. The open landscape offers little cover, and survival depends on awareness and adaptation rather than concealment. This makes Los Llanos one of the most vivid places to observe wildlife behavior, where predator and prey share the same open stage. Human life here is equally shaped by the land. The culture of Los Llanos is built around cattle, rivers, and open space. Traditions reflect endurance and independence, developed over generations of living in harmony with a demanding environment. Horses are essential. Music carries rhythm and storytelling, and daily life follows the movement of seasons rather than clocks. The skies above Los Llanos are a spectacle of their own. Sunrises spill across the plains in soft layers of gold and orange, while sunsets stretch endlessly, deepening into intense reds and purples. Storms form dramatically, towering clouds rolling across the flat horizon, lightning illuminating the sky in sudden flashes. These moments remind you how small you are within such vast openness. Sound behaves differently here. With no mountains or dense forests to contain it, every call, splash, or movement travels far. At night, the plains come alive with the sounds of insects, frogs, and distant animals. The darkness feels deep but not empty, filled with unseen life continuing its cycles. Emotionally, Los Llanos evokes a sense of freedom. There are no barriers, no walls of stone or forest. The openness invites breath, movement, and awareness. It is a place where the world feels wide and possibility stretches outward in all directions. This region teaches a powerful lesson about balance. Life here depends on change, on the rhythm of flood and drought. Disruption of that cycle would unravel everything. Standing within Los Llanos, the importance of natural timing becomes clear. Patience is not optional, it is survival. Los Llanos represents Venezuela's pulse at ground level. It is not ancient stone or towering peaks, but living, breathing land shaped by water and movement. This chapter is written in grass, river, and sky. And as the plains stretch endlessly ahead, one truth remains. In openness, life finds its strength. As the journey continues eastward, the land begins to dissolve into water. Solid ground fractures into countless channels, and rivers spread wide as they approach the sea. This is the Orinoco Delta, one of Venezuela's most intricate and mesmerizing landscapes. Here, the boundary between land and water no longer exists. Everything flows, shifts, and adapts. The delta is not a place you simply visit. It is a place you enter, slowly and respectfully, as if stepping into another rhythm of life. The Orinoco River, one of the most powerful in South America, reaches its final transformation here. Instead of rushing toward the ocean in a single direction, it breaks apart into a vast network of waterways. These channels weave through dense vegetation, forming a living maze of mangroves, palms, and floating plants. Water reflects the sky like glass, disturbed only by the gentle movement of boats or the sudden splash of wildlife. Sound defines the delta, the steady lap of water against wood, the calls of birds hidden in the canopy, the distant rustle of leaves moved by unseen creatures. There is no true silence, yet nothing feels loud. Every sound belongs. The air is thick with humidity, carrying the scent of river and vegetation, grounding you firmly in the present moment. Life here is inseparable from water. Homes rise on stilts, connected by narrow walkways or boats rather than roads. Canoes glide effortlessly through channels, serving as transport, workplace, and gathering space. Movement is slow and deliberate, shaped by tides and currents. Time follows the river, not the clock. The delta is alive with biodiversity. Birds dominate the skies and treetops, their colors flashing briefly before disappearing into green. Fish move beneath the surface, unseen but ever present. Reptiles rest along muddy banks, blending perfectly with their surroundings. Every element is adapted to constant moisture and motion, thriving in conditions that would overwhelm most environments. Indigenous communities have lived here for generations, developing a deep understanding of the delta's rhythms. Their knowledge is rooted in observation, patience, and respect. The river provides food, transport, and connection, but it also demands awareness. Weather changes quickly, water levels rise and fall, and navigation requires experience rather than maps. This relationship fosters humility, a recognition that survival depends on harmony rather than control. Light behaves differently in the delta. Mornings arrive softly, filtered through mist rising from the water. Afternoons glow with reflected sunlight, making the river shimmer. Evenings bring deep colors as the sky darkens and the waterways absorb the last light of day. Nights feel intimate and alive, filled with sound and movement just beyond sight. Emotionally, the Orinoco Delta creates a sense of immersion. There are no distant horizons or towering landmarks. Everything is close, interconnected, and immediate. This closeness sharpens awareness. You notice small movements, subtle changes in current, slight shifts in sound. The world feels intricate rather than vast, complex rather than overwhelming. The delta also carries a quiet fragility. Its balance depends on the health of the river and the surrounding ecosystems. Changes upstream ripple outward, affecting life far beyond their origin. Standing here, it becomes clear how deeply connected everything truly is. Water binds land, wildlife, and people into a single living system. This chapter of Venezuela is written in motion. It does not stand still long enough to be captured easily. The Orinoco Delta teaches adaptability, patience, and respect for natural flow. It reminds us that not all journeys move forward in straight lines. Some, like the river itself, find meaning in branching outward, touching countless lives before finally meeting the sea. As the journey turns toward Venezuela's islands, the mainland begins to fade into the distance. Mountains soften into silhouettes, and the horizon opens wide. Ahead lies a world shaped entirely by the sea, where isolation has preserved beauty in its purest form. This is Venezuela's island realm, a collection of shores and seascapes where water defines every moment. The transition from land to island feels immediate. The air grows lighter, the colors brighter. Water shifts from deep blue to vivid turquoise, revealing reefs, sandbars, and shallow lagoons beneath the surface. These islands rise gently from the sea, framed by white beaches and steady waves that arrive with calming rhythm. Life here moves at the pace of the tide. Mornings begin with soft light and gentle breezes. Boats rest quietly along the shore, waiting for the day's journey. Fishing lines disappear into clear water, while seabirds circle above, scanning the surface with precision. The relationship between people and ocean is constant, built on trust, experience, and respect. Beneath the surface, another world unfolds. Coral reefs form living structures, sheltering countless species of fish and marine life. Movement is continuous but unhurried, a graceful dance shaped by currents and light. Sunbeams penetrate the water, illuminating colors that feel almost unreal. This underwater environment is fragile yet resilient, thriving only when balance is maintained. On land, island ecosystems are shaped by wind and salt. Vegetation grows low and sturdy, adapted to harsh sun and limited fresh water. Palms bend with the breeze, and flowers bloom brightly against pale sand. Every plant and creature reflects the challenges of island life, surviving through adaptation rather than abundance. The emotional tone of these islands is one of clarity and simplicity. With fewer distractions, attention turns outward towards sea, sky, and horizon. Days feel open, unstructured, guided by light and weather rather than obligation. Even silence feels different here, filled with wind and water instead of absence. As the sun begins to set, the islands transform. Light softens, casting long shadows across sand and water. The sea absorbs color, deepening into shades of blue and purple. Evenings arrive gently, carrying cooler air and a sense of closure to the day. At night, stars appear brighter, reflected faintly in the dark water below. These islands also serve as reminders of vulnerability. Surrounded by water, they exist in delicate balance with their environment. Rising tides, changing currents, and human impact all leave lasting marks. Preserving these places means understanding their limits and respecting their rhythms. Venezuela's islands offer contrast to the intensity of the mainland. Where mountains rise and rivers rush, islands rest and breathe. They provide space to slow down, to observe, and to reconnect with simple elements. Water, light, and time become the primary companions. It speaks of isolation not as loneliness, but as preservation. In these island spaces, Venezuela reveals a quieter form of wonder, one that does not overwhelm, but invites. And as the tide continues its endless cycle, the islands remain, suspended between sea and sky, holding their beauty in careful balance. As the journey through Venezuela reaches its final chapter, it becomes clear that the country's true wonder is not found in any single mountain, river, or coast, but in the sum of all its landscapes, ecosystems, and cultures woven together into an experience that overwhelms the senses and humbles the soul. Venezuela is a land of extremes, contrasts, and unexpected beauty, where each region feels like a world unto itself, yet every part contributes to a larger, interconnected story. The northern Caribbean coast, with its sparkling waters and vibrant islands, offers clarity and light. The beaches and reefs of Los Roques shine like jewels, where the rhythm of life moves with the tide and the horizon stretches endlessly. Here, time feels soft, unhurried, and reflective, a quiet contrast to the raw power of the interior. The ocean teaches patience and presence, reminding travelers that serenity can hold as much awe as dramatic landscapes. Move inland, and the tone shifts dramatically. The Grand Sabana's vast savannas stretch under an endless sky, dotted with tepuis rising like sentinels. Angel Falls descends from unimaginable heights, crashing into misty chasms below, reminding us of nature's capacity to inspire fear and reverence simultaneously. Rivers wind their way across ancient sandstone, waterfalls spill into pools of gold and green, and wildlife moves freely, undisturbed by human presence. These lands speak of endurance, patience, and timelessness, lessons carved over millions of years by water, wind, and stone. The southern rainforest immerses visitors in another world entirely. The Venezuelan Amazon pulses with life in ways that feel both intimate and overwhelming. Birds, insects, and mammals fill the dense canopy and forest floor with constant movement. Rivers serve as highways, lifelines, and sources of sustenance, guiding humans and animals alike. Indigenous communities navigate this ecosystem with deep knowledge and respect, showing how harmony with nature sustains both culture and life. In the forest, one learns to slow down, to listen, and to recognize that complexity is not chaos, it is the order of life itself. The eastern plains of Los Llanos bring yet another perspective. Here, openness dominates, and the sky stretches without end. Rivers flood the savannas in wet season, creating mirror-like reflections that merge land and water. Wildlife is abundant, bold, and visible. From capybaras grazing along rivers to caimans resting on muddy banks. The openness of Los Llanos instills freedom, reminding visitors that beauty can also come in expansiveness, movement, and simplicity. Life thrives not in concealment, but in plain view, teaching lessons in adaptation, patience, and vigilance. The Orinoco Delta continues this narrative of water and connection. Here, every channel, river, and mangrove intertwines to form a living network that sustains people, plants, and animals. Houses rise on stilts, connected by boats rather than roads, reflecting a lifestyle entirely in harmony with nature's rhythm. Birds, fish, and reptiles create a living soundtrack, and the interplay between land and water reveals the fragility and resilience of life in balance. It is a landscape that cannot be controlled, only understood and respected. And yet, Venezuela is not only about raw nature. Its cities, towns, and communities reveal the vibrancy of human life intertwined with environment. Markets bustle with color and sound. Music fills the air, and traditions carry forward across generations. Whether in highland villages, riverside settlements, or coastal towns, the people of Venezuela embody resilience, warmth, and creativity. Their stories add depth to the landscapes, showing that culture and nature are inseparable in defining the country's character. The islands and Caribbean coastlines provide reflection and pause. Turquoise waters, coral reefs, and soft sands create a slower rhythm, inviting contemplation and wonder in a gentler form. These islands show that Venezuela's beauty is multifaceted, not only wild and dramatic, but serene, intimate, and deeply restorative. Standing on the shore, watching waves roll endlessly toward the horizon, one can feel the continuity of life, nature, and history. As the journey draws to a close, the lesson of Venezuela becomes clear. Its power lies in contrast. Mountains tower above savannas, rivers carve through forests, oceans meet islands, and people move in rhythm with all of it. This country is alive in every sense. Its landscapes, wildlife, and cultures pulsate with vitality, teaching lessons about patience, resilience, connection, and awe. Venezuela is a place that cannot be captured fully in photographs or words alone. It demands presence. It inspires wonder through scale, color, movement, and life itself. It challenges assumptions, humbles expectations, and rewards attention with experiences that remain long after departure. The waterfalls, Tepuis, forests, rivers, plains, and coasts are all chapters of a single story, one written over millions of years and still unfolding today. As the sun sets across its diverse landscapes, painting mountains, rivers, and coastlines in gold and crimson, one truth emerges. Venezuela is unforgettable. Its power is both raw and subtle, overwhelming and gentle, distant yet intimate. It is a country of extremes, contrasts, and quiet revelations, a land that speaks not only to the eyes, but to the heart. And as this journey ends, the spirit of Venezuela lingers, a reminder that true wonder exists where nature, culture, and life converge in harmony, endlessly inviting discovery. Venezuela's natural wonders invite reflection on the extraordinary contrasts that define this land. From the heights of the Andes to the wide-open plains of Los Llanos, and from the dense Amazon rainforest to the serene waters of the Caribbean, each landscape tells its own story, yet together, they form a coherent symphony of life and wonder. Here, every element, mountains, rivers, forests, beaches, and skies, moves in harmony, reminding visitors that Venezuela is not just a place to see, but a place to feel deeply. At the heart of this chapter is the idea of connectivity. Angel Falls, with its immense drop from Tepuis, does more than dazzle the eye. It connects the heavens and the earth, symbolizing the vertical reach of Venezuela's landscapes. Below, rivers gather water from countless streams, feeding ecosystems and communities alike. The Grand Sabana's plains spread wide, channeling rainfall into waterways that eventually join the Orinoco. Even the Caribbean islands, seemingly isolated, are part of the same ecological and cultural network. Every region exists not in isolation, but as a vital thread in the larger tapestry of the country. Exploring the Venezuelan Amazon brings a sense of immersion unlike anywhere else. The canopy above filters sunlight into delicate patterns on the forest floor, while the air vibrates with life. Monkeys swing overhead, birds flash brilliant colors, and insects create a constant hum that fills every corner. Canoes move silently through winding rivers, passing communities whose lives remain deeply intertwined with the natural rhythm of water and forest. Here, the passage of time is measured not by clocks, but by the rise and fall of tides, the movement of clouds, and the cycles of rain. It is an environment that cultivates patience, observation, and a profound respect for balance. The plains of Los Llanos offer a different kind of immersion. Here, openness dominates, and wildlife thrives in plain view. Herds of capybara graze near rivers, caimans bask along muddy banks, and birds streak across endless skies. The seasonal floodwaters transform the region, temporarily turning grasslands into reflective lakes that mirror the sky above. The impact is immediate. You feel smaller, more aware, and more connected to the natural cycles that govern life here. The openness brings freedom, but also responsibility, as every movement, sound, and choice has consequences in a landscape that operates on visible and invisible rhythms. The Orinoco Delta continues this theme of interconnection, blending land and water in intricate patterns that seem almost impossible to map. Mangroves anchor the shifting channels, protecting life while feeding the ecosystem. Villages rise on stilts above the water, connected not by roads, but by river paths. Canoes glide silently between homes and markets, revealing a way of life that respects the constant motion of nature. Every aspect of life, food, transport, culture, is adapted to this environment, showing how humans can exist in true harmony with complex ecosystems. Even the Caribbean islands and coastal waters demonstrate this balance. Turquoise lagoons and coral reefs house vibrant marine life, while beaches provide space for reflection and connection. The wind, tides, and sunlight shape daily routines, encouraging observation and patience. These coastal areas are serene, offering contrast to the intensity of inland mountains and jungles. They remind visitors that wonder can be found not only in dramatic scale, but in delicate beauty, quiet movement, and subtle color. Throughout Venezuela, the role of wildlife is central. From river dolphins in the Amazon to flamingos along salt flats, from jaguars prowling rainforests to eagles circling mountain peaks, life thrives in varied forms. Predators, prey, and everything in between maintain a delicate equilibrium, revealing the intelligence, adaptability, and resilience of nature. Observing these patterns reinforces the idea that the country's beauty is alive, dynamic, and constantly evolving. Cultural life mirrors the landscapes in its vibrancy and adaptability. Cities, towns, and villages across Venezuela carry distinct identities, yet all reflect the environment that surrounds them. Music, food, and local traditions are infused with the rhythms of land and water. Markets bustle with color and motion. Celebrations echo the cycles of nature, and communities maintain a deep respect for the ecosystems that sustain them. People are not separate from the land, they are an intrinsic part of it, shaping and being shaped by its presence. The convergence of landscapes, wildlife, and human life creates a sense of completeness. Venezuela is not simply a collection of beautiful places, it is a living, breathing mosaic where every element contributes to the whole. Mountains teach perspective, rivers teach flow, plains teach openness, forests teach patience, and coasts teach reflection. Together, they offer lessons about humility, resilience, and the power of connection. As this exploration draws toward a close, one is left with the enduring truth that Venezuela is unforgettable. Its wonders are not just in what can be seen, but in what can be experienced, felt, and internalized. Every waterfall, forest, river, and coastline is a reminder of life's extraordinary diversity and the importance of harmony between humans and the natural world. The country leaves a lasting imprint on the heart, a quiet but powerful understanding that true beauty exists where contrasts meet, rhythms align, and life flourishes in balance. And in this moment, standing metaphorically at the convergence of land, water, sky, and culture, it becomes clear. Venezuela is not merely a destination. It is an encounter with the extraordinary, a journey into a world that inspires awe, reflection, and a profound connection to life itself. Venezuela unfolds like a living tapestry, each region contributing its own texture, color, and rhythm to a story written over millions of years. From the peaks of the Andes to the endless plains of Los Llanos, and from the dense Amazon rainforest to the Caribbean islands, every landscape is distinct yet inseparably connected. In this chapter, the focus shifts from individual landmarks to the larger patterns that define the country, the interplay of ecosystems, the persistence of life, and the enduring presence of culture alongside nature. Venezuela's wonders are not isolated moments. They are part of a living, breathing system that rewards those who observe closely, patiently, and with reverence. The mountains of the Andes serve as the backbone of the country, rising sharply from valleys and plateaus to meet clouds that drift lazily across ridges. Their slopes are home to communities that have adapted for centuries, shaping their lives around altitude, climate, and terrain. Crops cling to terraced fields, animals graze carefully on available pastures, and traditions reflect a deep understanding of balance. Even in isolation, these towns pulse with life, offering glimpses of resilience and harmony. The mountains teach perspective. From high peaks, rivers appear as delicate threads, forests as swaths of green, and villages as mere dots of color. Scale becomes both awe-inspiring and humbling, reminding visitors of their place within the broader environment. Descending into the plains, Los Llanos offers a stark contrast. Here, openness dominates, and life moves with visible immediacy. Seasonal floods transform grasslands into mirror-like wetlands, reflecting skies and clouds in astonishing clarity. Wildlife is abundant and unhidden. Capybaras graze in groups, caimans sun themselves along muddy banks, and birds dominate the expansive skies, their calls echoing far and wide. Survival in this landscape relies on adaptation to cycles of water and drought, showcasing nature's resilience in plain sight. Visitors cannot help but notice the rhythm here. Life thrives because it moves in harmony with natural forces, rather than resisting them. The Venezuelan Amazon deepens the sense of immersion and connectivity. Rivers become highways, carrying not only water but food, people, and culture. Dense canopies filter light into patterns that shift with every breeze, and life exists in every corner from minute insects to powerful mammals. The forest complexity teaches patience and attention. Everything is connected. A fallen branch nourishes the soil, which feeds plants, which sustains herbivores, which in turn support predators. Human settlements within the Amazon exist in similar interdependence, highlighting lessons of harmony, knowledge, and respect that have been honed for generations. Water remains a central theme as the Orinoco Delta spreads into countless channels, mangroves, and estuaries. Here, land and water coexist in fluidity, with houses rising on stilts and travel conducted entirely by canoe. The delta embodies adaptability. Life moves in response to tides, rainfall, and seasonal shifts. Humans, fish, reptiles, and birds all participate in a delicate balance that requires constant awareness. It is a living example of how survival and prosperity depend on understanding and respecting natural systems. The Caribbean coast and islands bring another dimension: clarity, calm, and reflection. Turquoise waters, white sands, and gentle waves offer a softer rhythm compared to the intensity of interior landscapes. Reefs provide vibrant habitats for fish, coral, and other marine life, while islands remain sanctuaries where ecosystems have thrived relatively undisturbed. The coast teaches that wonder does not require extremes. Beauty can emerge in serenity, in subtle colors, in the quiet repetition of tides. Wildlife threads through every region, tying the country together with continuity and vitality. From river dolphins in the Orinoco to jaguars in the rainforest, from flamingos on salt flats to birds soaring over plains, life persists in dynamic equilibrium. Predators, prey, and vegetation interact seamlessly, maintaining ecosystems that are both fragile and astonishingly resilient. Observing these systems underscores a central truth. Venezuela's natural richness is sustained by interdependence and careful balance. Human culture mirrors this principle. Cities, towns, and indigenous communities exist in dialogue with their surroundings. Markets hum with life, music and festivals echo natural rhythms, and daily practices reflect centuries of adaptation to land and water. People are not separate from nature, they are part of the same system, shaping and being shaped by the environment. The interplay of culture and landscape adds depth to every experience, reinforcing the idea that Venezuela is alive, not only in its physical forms, but in its stories, traditions, and daily rhythms. Emotionally, the journey through Venezuela's diverse regions leaves a profound impact. Awe comes not only from scale, but from the depth of connection that each landscape fosters. Mountains evoke perspective, rivers teach patience, plains inspire freedom, forests demand attention, and coasts provide reflection. Together, they create a holistic experience of wonder, humility, and inspiration. Each environment contributes lessons about adaptation, endurance, and harmony that linger long after the journey ends. It becomes clear that Venezuela's true wonder is in its totality. The country's contrasts between height and openness, density and calm, Inland and coast coexist in an interwoven narrative of life, resilience, and beauty. It is a land where every element supports another, where ecosystems and human culture intersect, and where the extraordinary can be witnessed not as isolated moments, but as an ongoing story of connection. As the sun rises and sets across mountains, plains, rivers, and seas, one truth remains undeniable. Venezuela is not simply a country to visit, it is a country to experience, to immerse oneself in, and to carry forward in memory. Its landscapes, wildlife, and cultures leave an indelible impression, a reminder that true wonder exists, where diversity meets balance, and where every corner of the earth continues to thrive in harmony. The concluding journey through Venezuela brings the focus to the country's most profound essence, the interconnectedness of its landscapes, ecosystems, and cultures. From the cascading heights of Angel Falls to the expansive plains of Los Llanos, from the dense Amazonian jungle to the intricate waterways of the Orinoco Delta, and from the Caribbean's turquoise islands to the highland communities of the Andes, every region offers its own unique story, yet all are interwoven into a living, breathing whole. This is a country where every element of nature and life is deeply connected, creating an experience that engages all the senses and leaves a lasting impression on the heart and mind. The northern Caribbean coast continues to shine as a region of clarity and vibrancy. Los Roques and other islands reveal a spectrum of blues in shallow lagoons and deep channels, while coral reefs support an astonishing diversity of marine life. The coast is shaped by wind, tide, and light, creating a rhythm that guides human and animal life alike. Coastal communities have learned to live in harmony with this rhythm, relying on fishing, boating, and tourism while respecting the fragility of the environment. Here, serenity and beauty coexist with vitality, reminding visitors that nature's power is not always loud. It can also be subtle, steady, and restorative. Inland, the Gran Sabana exemplifies the vertical drama of Venezuela's landscapes. Tepuis rise like ancient fortresses, their flat summits hidden in clouds or dotted with waterfalls. Angel Falls, descending more than 3,200 feet from Tepuis, commands attention and awe, a reminder of nature's scale and patience. Rivers carve through sandstone, creating pools and cascades that sustain wildlife and communities. The savannas are dotted with small settlements, and the land is alive with birds, mammals, and insects, all part of an ecosystem that has endured for millions of years. This region teaches visitors to observe closely, to move deliberately, and to understand that every drop of water, every gust of wind, and every living being contributes to the balance of life. The Venezuelan Amazon is a lesson in immersion. Forests stretch endlessly, with canopies layered in green, filtering sunlight, and sheltering an extraordinary variety of life. Canoes glide silently along winding rivers, past communities that live in intimate connection with their environment. Each plant, animal, and seasonal change carries significance, and survival depends on deep understanding and respect. Life here is intricate and intense, yet everything functions in harmony. The rainforest is a masterclass in patience, interdependence, and resilience, offering lessons that extend far beyond its boundaries. Los Llanos, the eastern plains, provide contrast. Their openness feels liberating, and wildlife is abundant and visible. Seasonal floods transform the landscape, temporarily merging land and water in a reflection of sky and cloud. Capybaras, caimans, and countless bird species move across the plains, while communities adjust their routines to the rhythm of the seasons. Los Llanos demonstrates the beauty of simplicity and the power of adaptability. Life thrives here not by hiding, but by responding to cycles of change and flow. The Orinoco Delta exemplifies fluidity and interconnection. Mangroves and waterways create a labyrinth of life where humans, fish, reptiles, and birds all coexist. Villages rise on stilts, connected by river paths instead of roads, illustrating a life structured entirely around the environment. The Delta teaches humility, awareness, and the importance of moving in harmony with nature rather than resisting it. Every wave, every tidal change, and every rainfall has significance, shaping the land and the people who depend on it. Wildlife threads these regions together, providing continuity across the country. From river dolphins in the Amazon to jaguars in the forests, from flamingos along salt flats to raptors soaring above plains, life is abundant, adaptive, and interdependent. Observing these systems reveals the intelligence and resilience of nature and underscores the fragility of balance. Venezuela's beauty is alive, dynamic, and dependent on preservation and care. Human culture mirrors this interdependence. Music, festivals, cuisine, and daily routines reflect adaptation to the land, rivers, forests, and seas. Indigenous knowledge, colonial history, and modern life blend seamlessly, adding depth to each landscape. People are not separate from their surroundings. They are embedded within them, shaping and being shaped by nature's rhythms. Emotionally, Venezuela leaves an indelible mark. Its extremes of height, depth, openness, and density create awe, humility, and wonder. Mountains inspire perspective. Plains evoke freedom. Forests demand attention. Rivers teach patience. Coasts invite reflection. Each region contributes to a holistic understanding of a country alive in every sense. Venezuela is its unity in diversity. Landscapes, ecosystems, and cultures intertwine to create a harmonious, resilient, and extraordinary whole. Mountains, rivers, plains, forests, and coasts are not isolated wonders. They are chapters of a single living story. Witnessing this interconnectedness reveals truths about life, adaptability, and the enduring beauty of the natural world. As the sun dips below mountains, plains, and seas, Venezuela's essence is revealed. A land of extremes, contrasts, and harmony. A country that engages the senses, challenges the mind, and touches the heart. In every wave, every gust of wind, every leaf, and every human story, the spirit of Venezuela endures a reminder that true wonder exists, where life, nature, and culture converge in perfect balance. As the journey through Venezuela reaches its ultimate reflections, the country's vast and varied landscapes begin to reveal the full story of its extraordinary character. From the towering peaks of the Andes to the sprawling plains of Los Llanos, from the dense, life-filled Amazon rainforest to the intricate waterways of the Orinoco Delta, and from the Caribbean islands to the Caribbean coastline, every region contributes to a complex, interwoven system that is as fragile as it is powerful. Venezuela is not just a collection of landmarks or scenic vistas. It is a living mosaic of ecosystems, cultures, and experiences that demand both attention and respect. The northern Caribbean coast continues to provide contrast and calm. Here, turquoise waters shimmer under bright sunlight, coral reefs teem with marine life, and sandy beaches curve into tranquil bays. Islands like Los Roques and La Tortuga are sanctuaries, where ecosystems remain remarkably intact despite human presence. The water moves with steady rhythm, setting the pace for life both above and below the surface. Fishermen glide across calm lagoons in canoes, seabirds trace graceful arcs through the sky, and the wind carries the scent of salt and distant land. This environment is both restorative and instructive, teaching that strength can reside in subtlety, patience, and balance. Inland, the Grand Sabana captures the imagination with dramatic expanses of savanna, punctuated by the vertical majesty of Tepuis. Angel Falls cascades from unimaginable heights, a reminder of nature's timeless scale and power. Rivers cut through sandstone, forming pools, rapids, and waterfalls that nourish wildlife and communities alike. The savanna itself pulses with life. Birds dart between shrubs, insects hum, and mammals roam freely across the plains. This landscape teaches that resilience and beauty are often forged over millions of years through the slow, deliberate work of water, wind, and stone. The Amazon deepens the sense of immersion in Venezuela's diverse ecosystems. Canoes move silently along winding rivers, passing villages that exist in perfect harmony with the environment. The forest is dense and alive. Canopies filter sunlight, creating shifting patterns on the forest floor, while birds, mammals, and insects animate every layer. Indigenous communities rely on intimate knowledge of the land, demonstrating that survival and prosperity depend on observation, patience, and respect for natural systems. The rainforest is both overwhelming and instructive, offering lessons in connection, interdependence, and adaptation. The plains of Los Llanos provide a stark contrast to dense forests. Here, openness dominates, and life is in plain sight. Seasonal floods transform the savannas, reflecting skies and clouds in a mirror-like spectacle. Capybaras graze near rivers, caimans bask on mudbanks, and birds fill the skies with sound and movement. This environment fosters a sense of freedom and awareness. Life thrives here because it flows with the seasons, adapting to cycles of water and drought. The plains teach that sometimes survival is about embracing openness rather than seeking shelter, moving with the land instead of against it. The Orinoco Delta exemplifies fluidity and interconnection. Mangroves, rivers, and channels form a labyrinth where humans, fish, reptiles, and birds coexist in delicate balance. Villages rise on stilts, connected by water rather than roads, demonstrating how life can adapt to and thrive within a constantly changing environment. The delta requires mindfulness, patience, and respect. Small changes upstream ripple outward, affecting countless lives and ecosystems. It is a place that demonstrates the intricate dependence of life on water, weather, and human stewardship. Venezuela's wildlife serves as the thread that binds its regions together. From jaguars stalking forests to river dolphins navigating the Amazon, from flamingos dotting salt flats to raptors circling plains, the country's fauna thrives in a web of relationships, highlighting the intelligence, adaptability, and resilience of life. Observing these creatures reinforces the importance of balance and harmony within ecosystems. The beauty of Venezuela is alive, dynamic, and constantly evolving, rewarding those who watch carefully and engage respectfully. Cultural life mirrors these natural patterns. Indigenous traditions, colonial legacies, and modern cities coexist, demonstrating how humans have learned to adapt and thrive alongside these diverse landscapes. Music, festivals, cuisine, and daily rituals reflect the cycles of nature, showing that human culture is inseparable from the environment. People here do not dominate the land, they exist in dialogue with it, shaping and being shaped by the natural world around them. Emotionally, Venezuela's full spectrum of landscapes creates a profound impact. Mountains inspire awe, plains evoke freedom, rivers teach patience, forests demand attention, and coasts encourage reflection. Together, they form a holistic experience of life, resilience, and beauty. The country's contrasts between height and openness, density and calm, inland and coast, are not conflicts, but complementary forces, creating a sense of harmony and continuity. Ultimately, Venezuela's story is one of interconnection. Each region contributes to a larger ecosystem. Every species has a role, and every community has adapted to thrive. The lessons are universal. Patience, respect, observation, and harmony are necessary to sustain life in a complex world. The country's landscapes, wildlife, and cultures are bound together in a narrative of enduring resilience, revealing the extraordinary capacity of nature and humanity to coexist. As the sun sets over the mountains, plains, rivers, and seas, the full scope of Venezuela's wonder comes into view. It is a land of extremes and subtleties, contrasts and harmonies, challenge and serenity. Its beauty is not fleeting or superficial. It is embedded in every layer of life, every current of water, and every breath of wind. Venezuela leaves a lasting imprint on the heart, a reminder that true wonder exists, where ecosystems, people, and cultures converge in balance, creating a world both extraordinary and deeply alive. As our journey comes to an end, the landscapes of Venezuela linger in memory: the endless plains of Los Llanos, the misty heights of the Andes, the vibrant forests of the Amazon, the intricate waterways of the Orinoco Delta, and the serene beaches and islands of the Caribbean. This is a land that teaches patience, resilience, and the importance of harmony between humans and nature. Its beauty is alive, dynamic, and unforgettable. Venezuela is not just a destination, it is an experience, a living story, and a reminder that true wonder exists where life, culture, and nature converge. Carry its spirit with you, and let the echoes of rivers, the roar of waterfalls, and the colors of the sky inspire you long after you leave. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed exploring Prague as much as I enjoyed guiding you through it. If you found this travel guide helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more beautiful destinations from around the world. Got a favorite spot in Prague? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels, and see you in the next video.